Sisters, today I want to tell you something that I have kept in my heart for many years. Now I still feel mixed emotions. It was many years ago when smartphones were just becoming popular. Everyone was excited about the fact that they could call for various services on their phones, such as housekeeping. At that time, I had not yet divorced, but my relationship with my husband had already gone wrong. After I gave birth to a child, we never had sex again. I am a shy person and I am too embarrassed to bring it up. He has never touched me. This kind of life is so depressing. One Sunday morning, my legs hurt so badly. My husband, now my ex-husband, was away on a business trip, and my son was taken back to my hometown by my mother to visit relatives, leaving me alone at home. I was in so much pain that I thought about searching on my phone for home massage services. I clicked on one of the pages, and a window popped up automatically with a customer service representative talking to me. I briefly described my symptoms, asked about the price, and finally left my phone number. After a while, I received a call from a man. He asked me if it was okay for a man to come to my house for a massage. He also said that the man was very strong and was a professional teacher. I hesitated for a moment, thinking that it would relieve my leg pain, so I agreed. About 40 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw a young man in his 20s standing there. He said to me very politely, "Hello." At that time, I was skeptical. He looked too young and didn't look like an experienced massage master, but he was already here and was so polite. I was embarrassed to chase him away, so I hesitantly let him in. As a result, the next question he asked was even stranger. He asked me, "Is there no one else in your house?" I answered no. He then asked, "Is your husband not going to come back suddenly?" I thought to myself at the time, what does this have to do with my husband? But then I thought again it was indeed a bit inconvenient for a man and a woman to be alone in the house, so I told him honestly that no one would come back suddenly. He entered my bedroom and first spread a disposable waterproof sheet on my bed. It was a single bed sheet with flannel on one side and light green plastic on the other. I was so surprised at the time, thinking that this organization was quite professional. After laying the sheet, he asked me to lie on the bed and started to massage me. His technique was pretty good. He started massaging my calves, and after a while, I don't know why he moved to my thighs. While massaging, he chatted with me, asking me how many years I had been married and how old my children were. I was puzzled, so I asked him how he knew I had children and whether he saw children's clothes drying on the balcony. He said he could tell I had given birth to a child by looking at my pelvis. I was very surprised and said that you can tell from this. He said with certainty that, of course, and said that my pelvis was dilated and not in place. Just like that, we talked about pelvic repositioning. He told me that he could help me reposition my pelvis, but it would cost extra. I asked him how much it would cost, and he said that doing this in a beauty salon would cost 3 or 4,000 yuan per session, but their store had a promotion these days and only charged 2,000 yuan. He also told me a lot of disadvantages of not resetting the pelvis, saying that it is easy to grow a mother's buttocks, leak urine, have an ugly body shape, and even have an unharmonious sex life. He said so much and showed me some so-called, before resetting and after resetting, photos on his mobile phone. I don't know why, but I was persuaded by him. I thought to myself, even if I was cheated, it's just 2,000 yuan. If it doesn't work this time, I won't do it next time. At this time, my legs were almost massaged, so he asked me to buy the pelvic resetting package online and then started to massage my pelvis. He asked me to turn sideways and started to press my pelvis. When he pressed, his body rubbed against my buttocks, and I felt weird at the time. Suddenly, he touched my lower body and said, "Your pubic bone is fine, not too dilated." I was shocked at the time, but his words blocked my surprise. Then I felt something strange in my body. His pressing turned into caressing, and I was shamefully aroused by him. When he saw that I had a reaction, he started to say some ambiguous words to me, saying that they had more special services, which could be experienced by adding another 1,000 yuan. He also said that such services could make people feel like they were in heaven and death. Many middle-aged and elderly women who had never experienced an orgasm in their lives were very satisfied after doing it. He also said that the sheets could be soaked. Only then did I understand why he had to put a waterproof sheet on me at the beginning. I was already dizzy at the time, but I still pretended to be calm and asked him in a normal tone what kind of service it was. He said that anything was fine. You could use your mouth, your hands, toys, and even actual sex as long as I didn't mind. I didn't know what I was thinking at the time, but I placed another 1,000 yuan order. After placing the order, he asked me if I wanted to wear an eye mask that would emit heat, saying that it would help me relax. Yes, it was embarrassing to watch a man I didn't know working on me, so I agreed. After putting on the blindfold, we had unspeakable things happen. Now I don't remember exactly what I felt. Sex doesn't seem to have any memorable points. I just remember that I was very nervous, excited, ashamed, and uneasy. Oh, by the way, he was quite professional. He wore a condom, and his equipment was quite complete. After the incident, he asked me if I could give him a glass of water. I poured him a glass of water, and he sat there to rest. I was curious at the time, so I asked him, "How much money can you make from doing this?" He was honest and said, "Ha." When I heard that, I said, "Then your boss is really making money. You don't even need a storefront. It's almost zero cost." He said, "The cost is not small. You have to buy rankings on search." I asked him where he lived, and he told me the truth. He said that the boss provided food and accommodation, and that the boys lived in a 4-bedroom to living room house. If there is more work, there are other people who can be transferred here. He also said that they usually work in the afternoon and evening. When I placed the order, no one got up yet. The boss couldn't get others up. He came out despite the hardship because he was short of money. His family was from the countryside and he had a girlfriend in his hometown. He had to save money to build a house. He also boasted to me that he had a master qualification certificate and that he had worked as a massage therapist. For such informal things, it depends on the situation. If it works, you can earn more. If it doesn't, forget it. When he left, he was very polite and said that if you want to find him next time, you can still find him through that platform. His number is X6. He said he didn't dare to add my contact information privately. If the boss knew, he would not assign him any work. After that, he half bowed to me and said, "Thank you, goodbye." He rolled up the disposable bed sheet into a ball, put it in a garbage bag, and packed it away. There was no trace left at home. I was left alone there. My mind was blank and I was confused for a long time. Later, I never looked for him again. In fact, not only did I not look for him, but I also regretted it to death. I worried every day, did he have AIDS? His tongue almost licked my whole body at that time. What if I had a small wound and was infected with AIDS? The more I thought about it, the more scared I became. I always felt that people like them were walking carriers of STDs. In those months, I searched for AIDS symptoms on the internet every day, and I almost collapsed. It was not until 3 months later that I went to the hospital for a checkup and confirmed that I was not sick. I finally felt relieved. You asked me if I felt guilty about my husband? To be honest, I didn't feel any guilt at all, and I didn't know why. I wondered if men would feel the same as me when they did this kind of thing outside. I divorced later because my ex-husband openly lived with his mistress outside, but that's another story. After the divorce, I opened a shop outside to do business. The business was pretty good, and I also had a new partner. Can you imagine? 8 years later, the year before last, I actually ran into that boy again. That day, my best friend and I went to a hotel for dinner. He was the lobby manager standing in the lobby. I have a very good memory for people, so I recognized him at first sight. My heart was beating very fast at that time, but he didn't recognize me. That day, I drank a little bit of wine, and when I went to the bathroom, I passed by him. I don't know what was wrong with me, so I whispered to him, "I know you." He was stunned for a moment and then smiled. He was still so generous and confident, and I felt a little unconvinced. I asked him, "Why don't you do that?" He said, "Now the crackdown on pornography and illegal publications is very strict. It has been a long time since we can advertise online." Our boss was also arrested for this. We spoke in a very low voice, and only the two of us could hear it, but the strange thing is that he didn't feel shy or hide anything at all. I felt that I was a bit of a fool at the time, so I asked awkwardly, "Oh, are you married?" He nodded and wished me a happy meal. Before leaving, I looked at him again. I couldn't believe that I had had that kind of relationship with this person. Later, a young lady told me about the ridiculous things she did abroad, and she was very excited. "Aren't you afraid of getting IDS?" Even if he had a physical examination report at the time, AIDS has a 3-month window period, and it can't be detected during the window period. The little sister was stunned by what I said and said, "Don't scare me." I didn't mean to scare her. Now, when I think back to that incident, the money was spent, but the key is that I got AIDS phobia. During that period, I was absent-minded every day and didn't dare to hold my child. It was really not worth it. Just because of a momentary absurdity, I didn't protect myself, and I was wasting money for the next few months. Moreover, the payment link they gave me at the time might be a scam. I didn't have any precautions at the time. Now think about it. Fortunately, there was no danger in the end. If I want to say what benefits did that incident bring to me, I thought about it and reluctantly summarized a few points. First of all, I know that I am not a noble person, and sometimes I am quite stupid. Since then, I have not been so demanding of others. Secondly, I dare not ask someone to come to my door for service casually. I don't have a high bottom line and a weak sense of safety, so it's too easy to get into trouble. Later, when I looked for housekeeping, I would always look for it on a formal platform and became much more cautious. Do you think it's funny to tell you this secret? But to sum up, the biggest feeling is I was scared to death at the time, and thinking about it afterwards, it was really boring. Sisters, don't learn from me. You must protect yourself.